Holla ballers! What's going on? It's Preachy. Today I'm going to bring you a video concerning the scenarios. Yes, scenarios, a new sort of group queued function that's entering in Mists of Pandaria. Some of you have asked me, what do I think of the scenarios? Do you think they're good? What is the whole point of the scenarios? So let's address those questions today. What are the scenarios? Okay, so when you go into your looking for group menu, you have a new option called scenarios. Scenarios are three-person little stories, okay? They're little stories and they can be completed by 3 DPS. They can be 2 DPS, 1 healer, 3 healers. It doesn't matter what your spec is or what your role is. They are just designed for 3 random players. The rewards are relatively weak. You will get some points and stuff from them. At the moment on the Mists of Pandaria beta, they're just giving justice points. They take, on average, about 20 minutes each one, and there's a lot of them. There is a hell of a lot of scenarios. They take about 20 minutes, and you can be done by anyone. There's some good and bad points of the scenarios. Blizzard's idea that they've posted about the scenarios is this should be a nice addendum to add on to doing heroics and stuff like that, okay? They think it's a nice little thing for heroics to be tagged onto if you've got this extra content that should keep you busy throughout the week as you can complete your scenarios, you can get some points, and you can have a little bit of fun while doing so. I have a few concerns. Let's go over the good points first. The scenarios are actually really fun. They're very, very fun the first time you go in. They've got some really interesting stories, and in fact, some of the scenarios can be done in various different ways, especially if you start exploring the environment. Now, this isn't applicable to all the scenarios by any means, but some of the scenarios definitely have this option. A nice one is the first one I'm showing you here, which is the pirate scenario. I'm not going to do a video on every single scenario. Needless to say, I've done nearly all of them, but I just wanted to show you a couple that I found rather interesting. The pirate scenario has a second stage, so when you go in you will get a little announcement as if one of the quests popped up, and it'll say stage 1, escort somebody, stage 2, do this, stage 3, kill something. There's generally 3 stages to every single scenario, and the third stage is usually kill some sort of boss type figure, something along those lines. And phase 1 and 2 tend to be sort of story RP elements where you'll kill some mobs and you'll deal with the situations quite easily. So in this particular one, stage 2 was to just collect some unga juice, I believe it was called, or unga. Collect some juice and throw it into a cauldron. You had to collect 200 juice. Now these juices are dotted around the island, so literally the quests are relatively vague. I actually quite like that. You have to do a little bit of exploring, you have to check your map, you have to look around a little bit, you have to use your own initiative to get these things done. So in one instance of doing this stage, you could literally just walk around the island a little bit and pick up various unga juices that are lying on the floor. No big deal to that whatsoever. You can just go and pick them up, get them, and if you get up to 25, you become encumbered, so you need to get about 20 to 23, and then make your way back to the cauldron, throw in your unga juice, and then go and collect some more. However, if you look around the island a little bit, you'll find there are caves. And inside those caves there are elite mobs. Now, although they're elite, they can easily be soloed. And they drop large barrels of unga juice. So whereas standard unga juice, this is going to really annoy me saying that over and over, a standard unga juice might give you 2 stacks, and you need to get up to 22. So obviously you've got to pick up 11 stacks if you do it that way. However, if you have a look around the island, you'll find an elite mob who might drop 10 or 15 juice if you go and explore a little bit. There's also a zipline, which is really cool, as this is a pirate-themed scenario. You can take the zipline to a boat where there'll be a mob, and if you kill him, you'll get a really large barrel or even multiple barrels of juice and get the whole stage done much quicker just by using your own initiative and looking around. Is there things to click on? The zipline, it doesn't tell you to use it. You can actually do the whole thing without using it, but there's a little thing dangling from the tree that's just a clickable icon. So of course we're going to click the button. How can we not click the button? So I was looking at it, I was like, I'm going to click it. I click it, fly over, and you jump down the sail of the ship by sticking your sword into it, all very pirate-esque, and it's got some really good themes like that. And so by doing those things and just having a look around, you can actually alter how you do the scenario and get it done in a much more efficient manner, and all that kind of stuff. I would say I like the other aspect of it is you have to be separated in a lot of instances. Most of the scenarios are designed so that at some point one person has to do one thing and then the other people have to do something else. For instance, in the pirate one person has to look after the cauldron and he gets to use a cannon, so you can shoot some boats in the sea, you can attack the pirate hosen, the monkeys that are attacking you from the other side of the rivers and the seas, and then the other people go into the forests and the other parts of the island to search for the unga juice. In the other scenario I'm going to be showing you, which is a party, you're trying to sort out a festival that's trying to be attacked. is you'll have 3 spawn points. So you want 1 person each spawn point, and then a large semi-mini boss will spawn, like a giant yak, I believe it is. And then you can actually all group up to kill that, and then you'll go and spread out to your 3 points again. I've done some various other scenarios which are quite similar. You have different sort of separation away from each other to go and do various tasks. And the way Blizzard has done it is you'll get spammed messages on the middle of your screen saying, one of you stay behind to look after the cauldron, the rest of you go off into the forest and just enjoy and explore. The other thing about this is there are various structures that are not connected to the stage directly. In the pirate one especially, there are totems, like Hosen totems up on the walls, and by defeating them you will gain buffs, which allow you to kill things quicker, allow you to deal with the various bosses. They are very silly. They've got some silly comedy elements thrown into them. The final boss, for example, gets scurvy in a very pirate-themed way, and then an orange will land on the island. And while you're defeating this final boss, I believe he's Captain Ook Ook. Captain Ook Ook gets scurvy. He'll start focusing on the orange, and if he gets the orange, he becomes more powerful. However, one of the players can pick up the orange. They will then become fixated and run around with it, but you can also throw the orange from player to player. So you can also be having this throwing the orange around while you're doing this kind of stuff, which is really, it's just a little bit of fun. You can still complete it without doing that, but it's just a little bit of fun, and you get various achievements and stuff like that. There are lots of little rewards that aren't directly related to completing the scenario. I really quite like that aspect. Let's talk about the downsides. The downsides of this is most of these dungeons, given the way it's set up, because Blizzard likes success in their dungeons. They don't like players failing. They don't like that. They don't believe it's a good reward if players fail. So in fact, most of the dungeons can be soloed. In a couple of the scenarios I did, I was doing literally 85% of the total DPS. The other guys were just not aware of anything. They weren't doing any damage. They didn't know what to do. They just followed me around and then kind of watched in most cases while I was just checking the map and jumping around. There is a lot of opportunity here for slackers. Considering the dungeon can be soloed in terms of completing the tasks, it can be done. It really can. So if in the instance of the pirate one, where I said one guy needs to look after the cannon and the cauldron, you will get a warning if you're in the forest saying that boats are coming. So you can quickly make your way back to the cannon, deal with the ads, and then go back into the forest if people are just sort of cluelessly wandering around. So that is a definite downside. I would like a touch more difficulty. It's balanced around the idea that at least one player will be slacking, and you're not going to have a healer, which means they can't have too much damage coming in from the mobs, if you understand what I'm saying. Because there should be no healer. There shouldn't be one. There should be like DPSs, and maybe you'll get a healer. Only in one of the 9 scenarios I did we get a healer, which was interesting enough. I think he just kind of chilled out and just did some healing and did a little bit of DPS. So they are not going to get huge damage intake. You're really not, and you should be able to survive everything solo. The other good thing is this is a great way of picking up things like motes and greens. Okay, the rewards for the actual dungeon are relatively poor. Like I say, it's only justice points at the moment. And then maybe they'll throw some valor points in. You certainly don't get a satchel or anything like that at the end. There's no item drops. You won't get any items from these dungeons. But they do have a lot of greens, and they have a lot of motes as well. The mobs tend to drop lots of motes, lots of cloth, things like that, which really enable you to pick up various things without having to go farming, because you get to do a little scenario with some people. You'll get the reward for that. You'll pick up some justice points. You'll get some gold for completing it. You'll also pick up various things by the mob drops. You'll get some disenchanting mats, all that kind of good stuff. So there's a really nice opportunity there for that. The other downside, I think, is, other than the fact that you can be soloed, is I don't think these will last. Blizzard intends these to be an extended period of content for players. They expect them to be jumping in and into these alongside heroics. And because they can be done by 3 DPS, your queue time is instantaneous. So there is that appeal. However, after you've done it the first time, they are already starting to feel a little bit dull, and when people start slacking, you actually can feel yourself becoming more frustrated than in a heroic. Because it is a case of you can complete it yourself, but you don't want to. You want to do it with the 3 people and get it done relatively quickly. And that will really slow you down and become frustrating. Once you've got over the initial novelty of each scenario, I can't see many people wanting to repeat them for anything other than maybe getting a few motes, getting a few enchanting mats, that kind of thing. The rewards aren't good enough for a 20-minute time investment. Sure, you've got an instantaneous queue, but an instantaneous queue that's not going to give you gear, that's not going to give you that sort of epic reward and some valor points, things like that, are just going to tail off very, very, very quickly. I don't think this is particularly quick content to create. I can't see them releasing lots and lots of scenarios as sort of DLC in future patches. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but from the ones I've seen so far, although they're 20 minutes long, they're very sort of fluid staged events with lots of stuff going on around them. They seem almost as involved as a heroic dungeon in that respect. So I can't see a lot more coming. Certainly not in batches of maybe 5 or 6, which I would expect for a scenario. Especially for something people can queue for day one, instantaneously at level 90 and get into a scenario and complete them in day one. Perhaps we'll get some more difficult ones. Perhaps they can create some fun ones, but I can't see it. I think this is a very novelty item. I don't see it being the extended content Blizzard wants it to be. They want it to be something people enjoy on a regular basis, jump into a scenario, have some fun. The rewards aren't good enough to make that happen, and once the actual novelty of what you're doing wears off, I don't think that will be something people want to return to. Do you want to do a scenario? Well, not really. I've done them all. I've seen the fun part of it, and some of the scenarios are relatively long and not that interesting. They really aren't. They're just not that cool. Other ones are cool. I'm showing you the cool ones right now, but some of them aren't that cool. The other one I'm showing you in the background is one of these particular ones. Defending the brew. Defending the mighty stack of ale. This was a really quick one. Not much interest going on in there. So, overall scenarios are a nice idea. I don't think we're going to get what they want out of them. They want them to be awesome. They want them to be fantastic. They want them to be a nice additional content. It feels a little like daily quests. I would summarize them as very quick to join daily quests that don't give great rewards, but people can do them. If they're not sure how to make some gold, maybe they'll try them out. I don't know. I think once the novelty wears off, they're not going to be a great addition. I really don't, unfortunately. As cool as they are and as fun as they are, once you've seen them the first time, they don't give enough rewards to make me want to come back. And we're already seeing a lot of people just kind of not speak to each other, just get through them, and blah, 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 blah. And the usual stuff we find in a 5-man heroic, but with no rewards or gear upgrades to go in there. Ultimately, too many people are focused on gear, unless we have some sort of chance of gear, maybe even if it was some crafting materials. I think that would be a really nice addition, is if we got some crafting materials in there. So you could get some maybe dual crafting tokens, or perhaps just some really odd gems, some ore, something along those lines that we can actually use in our day-to-day lives. They might be more popular. I hope they add something like that in. There's the scenarios for you ballers. You take it easy.